Greetings you, the DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, Proverbs 22:6 says, that we should train up our children to make sure that they are maturing, growing, developing in a manner that they contribute to our nation, talking about Israel, and that they contribute to themselves in the relationship with Elohim. And by doing so, it assures that our legacy continues in a strong way. And not only that, but all these curses that Yah has brought against our people for our rebellion, for lack of discipline, lack of being trained up in the proper way. In other words, protecting the village, protecting the faith, being the light that Elohim placed us here on this earth to be, when he called out to our forefather Adam and told him, hey, I want you to have dominion over this whole planet. In other words, brothers, and this message is to you, by the way. In other words, brothers, that everything that's created on this planet, naturally created, and I'm not talking about, the invention. And I got to specify this because, some want to take and start accrediting, Elohim for all the weapons of evil here, for all the cunning devices that people use, like social media, the internet, you know what I'm saying? All of this technology, including AI, transhumanism, folly. We know those things came from Aziel and Samariah, the demons down who were locked up in chains under this earth because of their wickedness, coming in and spurling our women. In other words, having sex with our women, who in many cases, seduced them. So I'm not talking about that. But what I am talking about is dominion over this earth. That anything that's natural here, we have dominion over it, my brothers. That was the commandment of Elohim. It was the commandment, it was his direction. In other words, he said, look, I'm going to place you in paradise. And I want everything in paradise to be in its right position to ensure that it fulfills its natural function. And its natural function was to keep this planet healthy so the planet can keep us healthy. But of course, if you understand that story, we know what Adam did, and he compromised, with evil. He compromised with evil. He gave ear to the voice of evil that had, unfortunately, took the shape of his woman, Eve. Because Eve just repeated what Satan told her to say. She put it in her own words, but that's how the enemy does. That's why our book says it's a wolf, in sheep's clothing. Because what the enemy is very crafty in doing is twisting words, putting some truth with lies, and then selling that lie as the truth. So yes, he did enter Eve, and yes, he put the words in her mouth, and yes, she spoke them, and yes, he listened, just like many of you doing today, my brothers. And because you have fallen out of your role, you have not been obedient. In other words, the only voice that we're supposed to be hearing is the voice of Yah, collectively, I might add, not the voice of Yah individually. We're not called to everybody do his own thing. That's not a nation. That's not what a nation does. A nation works with cohesiveness. A better word, inclusiveness. Everybody working together as one unit. That's how a nation works. And and quite frankly, when you hear people quoting Hosea 4 all the time, my people who are called by my name, if they would humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, Well, in essence, he's saying my people who are called by my name. He's really talking about the oneness of the people. Yeah, you'll hear the individual, prayer of a true believer. But for this nation to move forward, for us to bring in the new heaven and the new earth, there's got to be a unified cry. And that unified cry is not going to happen until we are unified as a nation of people, until our children are trained up in the proper way. Or, and listen to me carefully, my brothers, or we continue to die. And the death that is foretold to come is going to be so brutal. You've heard me talk about it before. Many of us are going to resort to cannibalism just to survive. And our women are going to fall apart. I mean, literally, physically fall apart. Body parts falling apart. And again, you know, that's going to be from disease ravaging us, hunger ravaging us. And again, murder and mayhem all over the place. But this earth was put here for us to have dominion over it. You know what I'm saying? For us to control it. And controlling it would simply mean to cultivate it. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that we kept every kind with its kind. That everything was to fulfill its proper origin. So, you know, an apple tree bear forth nothing but apples, not apples and pears. You know, a sheep bear nothing but sheep, not sheep and lions, as you see these devils doing with their genetic mixing. And we talked about that in the book of Josh. I think many of you guys have gone now and researched it. You know, if you had taken some of the suggested advice that I've shared with you before, and went out and invested, you know, a few dollars and bought you a Cypher Bible, you would have that information. Not pushing the Cypher organization. I have no investment, no sponsorship, nothing like that. I only want you to get the word. I want you to get the hidden word so that you would know the truth. But the book said those things that are in the darkness, Yah is going to bring to light. But now, you know, those of you who delayed to go and get that book, now you're going to pay. Well, you know, there are times you can catch it coming up and down. The price fluctuates, but that book is running somewhere now. And this is our history book, I might add. Just another writing of it. But that book is running anywhere from $600 to $14,000 now. Could have got it for $100 if you reacted, you know, a year plus ago when I, you know, shared it with you. But that's neither here nor there. But he gave us the instruction, you know what I'm saying, to make sure that we understood what our roles were here and how that everything here was supposed to produce after its kind, and we were supposed to be fruitful with it. It's supposed to be a beautiful thing. You're supposed to be able to walk outside and breathe fresh air, my brothers, no matter where you walk on this planet. You're supposed to eat organic food. What I mean by organic food, just natural food, food that's not, you know, compromised. You were supposed to let everything operate in its natural, what's the right way to say, in its natural habitat. In other words, a pig, you know, you weren't supposed to eat the pig. You were supposed to let the pig eat the waste, dead things, garbage, filth. You know, anything that could bring diseases upon you, because the pig has no sweat glands, so it could hold those things inside of his body. You know, all that fat inside of that pig, all that white stuff you see inside of that pig, the pus that keeps it in his body, all those things was able to make sure that stuff didn't go into your bodies, our bodies. And of course, you know, because we decided that we would play, you know, Elohim. So now we eat the very filth that was put on this planet to make sure that our bodies, you know, through disease would not ravage, and, you know, diseases like cancer wouldn't eat us from inside out. But, you know, those things, again, but all of the beautiful things that were placed there, the water, the wind, the mountains, you know, valleys, canyons, you know, trees, grass, blue skies, you name it. If it's a beautiful event, it was placed here for our enjoyment. It was placed here so that we could be here and fulfill Yah's commandment, so that Yah could enjoy watching the beauty of his families. And all those things were taken away from us because of, again, rebellion, disobedience, Satan getting involved, planting seeds of rebellion inside of our woman. And then our men, you know, in their own arrogance, deciding to be rebellious against Yah, and pretty much say, I don't care what Yah says, I'm going to do what I feel like doing. Because after all, I have the power over me. And as you can see now, what the power over me has created. Again, everybody going about doing whatever the hell they want to do. Damn the consequences. And these consequences have been damnable. But enough of my diatribe about that aspect of it. Let's go back to Proverbs 22:6. When our book says that men, because that's who he was talking to, my brothers, just so you know, males, train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he is old, he shall not depart. Now that's male or female child, I might add. But brothers, that is a serious indictment against all of us as men. Now I have 3 sons. And when the book said train up my sons, it was talking about, teaching them the ways of Elohim, which I did, all 3 of them. They probably got sick of me, pushing, the word, pushing them, to have that relationship with the Most High. And, I will tell you that you cannot talk to any of my oldest, as you all know, probably most of you know, he's deceased. He's awaiting judgment. But my other 2 sons, I can assure you, if you want to get into a conversation with them about our book, they will definitely set the record straight with you in terms of what is truth and what isn't truth, and as it relates to our biblical history. In other words, they are well schooled in that area. And if you go to them as a novice, I would tell you to be very careful, because they'll probably, have you, going back and reviewing what you thought you knew versus what was actual truth. But that being said, it's just not, when the book says train up our children in the way that it should go, brothers, it wasn't just talking about sharing the word with them, developing, a direct line of communication with them, between them and Elohim. It was also talking about modeling for them what responsibility that they have to fulfill as men, providers and protectors. And when you look at a lot of our young men today, the 2 things that they're not, are providers, because they won't even provide for themselves, most of them, and protecting. They're not going to protect anybody but their own interest. And that's a sad indictment against the fathers on this earth. And the men. You don't have to be a father to train up children. That is a responsibility that when Yah made you a male and he put testosterone in your body, that extra energy, that so-called toxic energy, was placed there so you would understand that you were supposed to be the aggressor. Not hostile, but the aggressor. You were supposed to take the lead. You're supposed to take charge. Training up a child means that you're supposed to teach that boy everything from how to wash his behind, how to groom himself properly. You're supposed to teach him, how to work with his hands. You're supposed to teach him, the value of his seed, his sperm, how it's not to be wasted and dispersed throughout this earth without any, understanding of the accountability of what that could cause, the damage that could do, because he, is irresponsible. And you think about it, how many men around here now not taking care of their children? And that's a classic example of poor leadership. Brother Robert Hammond was talking about that the other day. Go to his channel, you'll hear him talking about it, about what leadership looks like. And one of the things, if my memory serves me correctly, he spelled out, our families are in disarray because of a lack of leadership from men. When you look at these young, people out here, just doing whatever they want to do, wilding out, whatever they call it, everything. Not even going to get into to some of the vulgarity that they do, they say, they act. All that is an indication, that's a judgment against the men. And I don't care if you're 20 years old or if you're 80 years old. That's a direct indictment against us as men. Because instead of us doing what Yah told us to do to take dominion over this earth, What we did is we allowed the earth to have dominion over us. We didn't teach our sons. At least, let me be clear. Some of us did. Some of you did. Most of you did not. And, and because you didn't, now you have our men conducting themselves in a way that every male species on the planet, looks at us with disdain. They look at Yah in mockery. Why you think these heathens have the audacity to say that you stupid, that, the book is not real, Elohim, they call God, is not real, that's a fable and that's for fools? Because of you. Because of our behavior. Because had we trained up our men, our children, our daughters, our sons and our daughters in the way of Elohim, it would be no way they could dispute that truth. But as a nation of people, since we failed to do it, not only do they don't believe, they make mockery of us. They make mockery of Elohim. And again, because we as men of Elohim took the position that, you know what, I can do whatever I want to do, and, come hell or high water, you're not going to stop me. So what did Yah do? He brought hell, fire, which just to come, and high water. He did, as in the flood. And now he's making us the laughing stock and soon to be the slaughtered of this earth. Training up your sons, as you heard me talk about a moment ago, we're supposed to teach them how to work with their hands. Teach them how to truly protect, their women. And a lot of you females out there, I'm not going to go off on you today, but a lot of you females out there, you look at these boys and you say, my son will protect me. Well, if your son is out there, committing acts of violence, and that type of violence gets him either killed or locked up, tell me how that's protecting you. Men, same thing. How are you going to protect a woman and your ass is in jail? How are you going to protect a woman if you're addicted to the very things that Yah told you to have dominion over? Oh yeah, back to that. We were supposed to control the plant life on the earth, and now the plant life controls us through drugs from plants, alcohol from plants, medication from plants. So the very thing that we were supposed to have dominion over, those things now have dominion over us. So yes, the word of Yah is true. Instead of being the head, now we're the tail. The very thing that we were supposed to control now have become substances that control us. See, Yah's word is true no matter what lying man says. No matter what he says. And I want you to think about what I just stated. Think about it. Think about all of these different addictions. Where did they come from? Their origin. From things in the earth. The very things that we were never supposed to allow to control us, we were supposed to control it. And so, because we have failed in our roles, women now rule over us, for the most part. You can say they don't rule over you, well, I don't know about that. A man of Elohim who's walking, studying, trusting, resisting temptations. No, you're not being ruled over. Yah got you. Elohim rules over men like you. But the rest of them out there, the rest of you out there, nah. Most of you waking up every day trying to figure out what you're going to be doing or what you can do to entice, some weak-minded woman to allow you to have dominion over her fruit. You know what I mean? And now it's become just a big game between you and them. Male and female games. Each playing little mental games with one another. See who can checkmate the other. At the expense of the nation. At the expense of our people. And again, now our people are looked upon as, again, the not only the laughing stock, and nobody's laughing anymore, but our people are looking at as the beast of the earth, the detestable of the earth, the good riddance of the earth. This place would be better if they had no niggas here. Saying what they're saying. And we own a big part of that, men. We own it. Because whether we put those words in their mouth, we planted that hatred in their heart, Yah gave us the power to even have dominion over them. Yeah, I'm talking about the wicked on this planet, the beast of this planet, the children of the fallen ones. Yah gave us power to even have dominion over them. So we're without excuse. We run around here saying, well, the white man did this, and the yellow man did that, and the brown man did this, or whatever kind of man did what. At the end of the day, then our book says, at the name of Elohim, demons would flee. Did not he say, if I be lifted up, I would draw all men unto me? In other words, put men under you, us. Did he not teach us that any power that we wanted to call, if we were all in agreement, trained up the right way, we could make it happen? Amen? He said it clear. At the name of Elohim, demons would flee. So what's our excuse? Why do the wicked feel like they can come upon us and pretty much do anything they want to do to us? They can kill us. They can incarcerate us. They can rob us. They can ravage our women. They can take our children. And worst of all, they can take our identity. Pretty much whatever they say we are, that's what most of our people embrace. I mean, what other people have been called colored, Negro, black, African, African-American, Afro-American? Who labeled us all these names? I know many of you want to say the white man did. Nah. I mean, the black man did. Nah. Your oppressors did. And they did it with carte blanche. They did it because they knew that you were so weak and so easily beguiled because you did not know Yah anymore. You did not have any dominion anymore because you never trained yourself up to know who you were. You believed their lies. You took upon their religions. You took on their belief systems, their ways of life. That now you depend on them for everything, including, what to call yourselves. You beg them for jobs. You beg them for money. You beg them for housing. You beg them for access. You create nothing, but you consume everything. And it never even dawns on you that it's judgment. At least most of us. It never even dawns on us. We're like pigs in the pig's pen. You know what I'm saying? We become so comfortable with slop and filth that we don't even know it's slop and filth anymore. Again, just look at our dietary. Look at our diets. I mean, we eat anything under the name of, well, the Bible says I could eat it. I'm talking about for the religions out there. The Bible says you can eat anything as long as you pray. That's not true. Go read Isaiah 65. That's one example. There's many other examples. Maccabees, many examples. Leviticus. But go read Isaiah chapter 65 and see that it says that the wicked, the heathens, eat rats and pigs. That's not a misquote. It says the heathens among our people eat rats and pigs. A lot of you run out there and you criticize these Asians for eating rats. And look at them, man, they get nasty. They eat rats, man. You ain't trust. Well, you eating a pig. I'm sure the Asians looking at you saying, I don't know why them dumbass fools complaining about us eating rats when they eat a giant rat called a pig. They're both rodents. They're looking at you like you must be. Look at your hypocrisy. You're a hypocrite. We eating little small rats. You eating giant rats. To the level where they're making you guys so sick that you're the sickest people in this nation. High blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, liver disease, you name it. all these glaucoma, all this stuff, and most of it is directly related to diet or failure of following the dietary laws of Yah. Women, you too. But see, when you train up a child, then you would have taught, if our ancestors, our parents, grandparents would have done what they were supposed to do, we would have been trained what we could eat and what we could not eat. We would have been trained on what we create and why it was important to create it, and what we wanted to stay away from, why that was important not to embrace it because of the dangers involved in it. We would have understood that a boy had to learn how to protect, and he had to learn how to hunt, and he couldn't do any of those things unless he was self-contained with discipline and understood his purpose from the time he could say his name. He would have understood, if we had trained up our children the way we would respect our women. We would have understood the importance of a family infrastructure. We would have understood the importance of a nature infrastructure, a nation infrastructure. We would have understood that the whole earth was depending upon us for its own natural survival. I'm talking about the thing that Yah created for our benefit, for our sustenance. We would have never allowed the heathens to come in with false idolatry, with paganism and religious and strategies that enticed us with trinkets and beads and liquor and alcohol and drugs and fake access. We would have never interacted with them. We would have kept them, outside. Only the strangers would have been allowed to be around us, and those strangers would have been people who loved Elohim as much as we did and honored us as the people of Elohim and pretty much followed our cadences. But because we did not train, we turned away from Elohim, our children got none of those basic necessities. And this is the fault of wicked men, our men. Again, loving the pleasures of this world more than the word of Elohim or the word of Yah. And this is what's happened to us. Yes, the book says train up, our children in the way that they should go. Simply meaning, what is the proper pathway? What pathway, you might ask? The pathway where they become productive, that Elohim becomes the center of everything that we do, with values and principles, honor, integrity. That's called laws, statutes, and commandments. But because we chose the ways of this wicked earth, this cursed earth, now we're the most cursed among it. And it's not going to get any better. Training up your child in the way, or your children in the way they should go, brothers, was simply meaning that they would understand their path, their purpose in life. There would not have been any confusion. They would not have to go to the enemy and go to the enemy's educational systems or labor systems, etc., looking to provide. Yah would have given them their natural ability, using their hands and their minds to create whatever substance they would have needed to not only build their families, to have healthy families, but also make sure that we had a great and strong, powerful nation that the world could see and edify Elohim, because look what Elohim has done with his people. But because we rejected that way, the way that Yah says in Proverbs 22:9, train up a child in the way that he should go, or his pathway, now we have taken on a different path. In Isaiah chapter 3, we talked about that a couple of days. 12 says, that now, because we have rejected Yah, our children are our oppressors, our women rule over us, our leaders lead us astray, and our pathway goes totally contrary to the pathway of Elohim that Elohim had set for us in the very beginning. And therefore, all these curses that Deuteronomy 28 talks about would fall upon us, and they most certainly have. Go back and read it for yourself. For all of these people who want to question whether or not the word of Elohim is true, why don't you just go back to the scriptures that I'm sharing with you? Why don't you go read them for yourself and see if I'm right? Go read Isaiah 65. Go read Isaiah chapter 3. Go back and read Proverbs 22. Go back and read Genesis 2 and 3. Joshua 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go back and read them for yourself. Hosea 4 and 6. 2 Chronicles 7 and 14. Why don't you go back and read it? Validate it. Revelation chapter 13, Revelation chapter 14, Revelation chapter 9, Revelation chapter 21, Revelation chapter 22. Why don't you go read them? Why? You're afraid to go read them? You're afraid that if you go read them, you're going to find yourself convicted. You're going to find yourself, understanding, you are in a hell of a lot of trouble. You got problems. That's why you won't read them. But you rather keep the problems versus going out there and researching to find out why you have the problem. So you say, well, if I ignore the problem, it'll go away. That's a lie. It does not go away. Y'all say you should know the truth. And that truth will deliver you first mentally by giving you the understanding that you need to have to free yourself physically. But because we reject that truth by ignoring it, it not only stays, but it's like gangrene. It gets worse and worse, and it starts to, like gangrene will have surgeons cut off your limbs. Spiritual gangrene will have the enemy cut off your relationship with Yah. And my brothers, that's why children are your oppressors. That's why we're afraid of our own children now. My brother, that's why women rule over you. Not because they're so wicked that they will not hear us. They rule over us because we have not fulfilled our roles as leaders of the house and leaders of the community and leaders of the nation. So they felt they had no other recourse but to do it. At least many of them. Yeah, some of them are just wicked and they're feminists and lesbians and things like that tells them, they don't need a man. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about women in their right minds who say, you know what, if you're not going to do it, I got to do something. I just can't let these children just die because you're sitting on your lazy ass because you want your father wouldn't teach you and now he set a poor example for you and now you're sitting on your ass. So there's a rationale for many of these mothers out here. It's hard to blame them. Single women, that doesn't apply to you. You're in your own act of rebellion because that's what you're choosing to do if you're out here, walking with these different movements that hate your men. But mothers, I get it. I was raised by a single mother. I understand the struggles that it is when a father is absent and he's not in his proper place in the house. Or he's religious. He runs you to church, but he teaches your children nothing. You got your children in church for 20 years and they walk out of the church as atheists. Because he didn't do his job to teach them and teach them in the house, not in some other building where some other demon-possessed fool is in the pulpit telling them what thus says Yah. And now all of this wickedness, all the judgment of Deuteronomy 28 is now falling upon us as a nation. So, brothers, this is on you. Men, this is on you. Your children are dying, that's on us. Our children are idiots, that's on us. Our children are the clowns or the buffoons of the planet, that's on us. Our children don't create anything, they don't produce anything that's substantial, that benefits the community, that's on us. Look at them. Anytime one of our children get any kind of wealth, what they do? They buy one or two things for mama, one or two things for daddy, give a cousin something, and then after that, I can't take care of everybody. Why? Why is that their mentality? That's not the mentality of the heathens. The heathens share their goods with each other. At least they make sure they have access. But as soon as one of our children get hold of any kind of real wealth, they become our leaders around, how we should accommodate the heathens. And then in addition to that, bring nothing back to the community but a bunch of fancy talk. Well, I'm going to open up a little shop over here so what they can exploit you even more. But when the last time you heard them talking about building housing for our people? Building private schools that teach Hebrew laws, the laws of Yah. When the last time you heard them talking about anything like that? Teaching our daughters how to be great moms, how to be great wives, how to be, strong, contributors to the nation. These niggas get their little, how you call it, nigger pennies, because that's all it is. And they run straight to the hills where the heathen are, i.e. Black Lives Matter co-founder. And all of this is judgment. We have nothing because we've turned from Yah, and we have turned from Yah because we would not. And our turning from Yah is really us resisting or being disobedient to His word. So when that book says train up a child in the way that he should go, he's talking to you, the men. Mothers, your role is to be the first teacher, but it's the father's role to train those children. And if you don't have children, it's still your role to be an example to the men and the women. Instead of being a self-gluttonous, fool who thinks about sex and access through money, filthy lucre money, to get advantage. And for you who fit that description, whether you get it or not, whether you gain access to women or gain it or not, for you who think that way and for you who have been that way, your ass is going to bust hell wide open with your wicked, useless male ass. Maybe Yah should have made you a pig. The pig that Isaiah talks about? Maybe he should have made your ass a pig, because that's what you're acting like. When you take upon the ways of the heathen, you become the heathen. When we walk away from Yah, the things that we should have had dominion over has dominion over us now. And we die in piss-poor poverty. Spiritual poverty, physical poverty, and mostly mental poverty. You realize that most of our older men are somewhat what's the proper word? Insane, retarded, mentally challenged. And the women too. And all this goes back because we walked away from a basic commandment, training up our children. And for you brothers who got out there and you led by example, you taught your sons, how to bathe themselves, how to groom themselves, how to work, how to earn a living, how to be respectful, how to contribute, give something back to the people. Praise Yah for you. Keep doing it. But for the rest of you, the vast majority of you, Yah got something very, very, very cynical planned for your ass. Diabolical. And you're going to regret that you wasted your life on gluttony, self-edification, and giving nothing back to this nation. I'm not talking about the United States. I'm talking about the people, Israel. He going to see these so-called superstars out here. He going to tear their asses up. From the musical superstars to the NBA superstars to the boxing superstars, tennis superstars, all these so-called super, he going to wear their asses out. When he finishes with them, they're going to regret the day they ever drank the poison of serving their gods, the gods of the heathens, and despising Elohim, the master and the father of the people, including their wicked asses, those of them who are us. But I can go on and on and on with this, but I think I've said enough, and I hope Yah, to the glory of Yah, I hope I didn't miss anything. But again, to you fathers, I just want you to know, to you men, you were put here for a reason. Not to become, metrosexual, not to be hoeing around, throwing your seed all over the place, not to be over here effeminized, you know what I'm saying? Talking about my mama this and my mama that. Like you see these so-called superstars, and you notice whenever they get any kind of access, they don't say anything about dad. It's all about mom. But then if you watch, next thing you know, they got a dress on. They got a wig on. Or they over there pushing some wicked agenda, telling the people it's important that they do this because, after all, we want our people to be healthy. And I think y'all know what I'm talking about with this. If you don't know what I'm talking about by now, then forget about it. Don't worry about it. It's not for you. So now they're twos. They become our leaders somehow. Speaking on behalf of the people when they don't know Yah. How could anyone speak on behalf of Yah's people and they don't have a relationship with Yah? That'd be like Isaiah speaking for us and he didn't even know who Elohim was. Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Solomon, David, with all of his beautiful psalms. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. That's ridiculous. But yet, many of you, including you so-called Christians, go right to them devils. And that's who you let speak for you. Men who don't know Elohim talking for the people of Elohim. How sad that is. That is a curse. That is a judgment. Because they were not trained right. They were not trained up in the ways of Yah. So the world took them. Satan took them. And now they become the children of Satan. And this is the results. Our children of our oppressors. Again, women rule over us. And where are we? As supposed to be the light of the world, the men locked up, alcohol-induced, drug-induced, insane, irresponsible, don't take care of your children, underemployed, creators of nothing, purchasers of everything, master consumers. Bodies are filthy because we just put anything, filthy ass crabs and shrimp and pigs and lobsters, just any guy, garbage eaters. Filth in terms of what we think about as important. And worst of all, followers, nobodies, living full lives and contributing absolutely nothing to the nation is the consequence of rebelling against Proverbs 22:6. So I'm going to stop right here because it's time for me to go render to Caesar what Caesar's. But I just wanted to give something back to Yah today. So Yah, thank you. I praise your holy, special, your beautiful name, your Rahuk. Thank you so much, Elohim. Thank you, my sisters and brothers, for hearing me out this morning. But remember, we are in these last days. And if we don't turn around right now as a nation, it's going to get real. You think it's bad now. It's going to really get bad. But this I will say, though. I remind you who are staying the course. Yah is going to protect us. Just like he protected, Noah in his days. And he protected our people, taking them through the Red Sea. And when they were out there in the wilderness, provided for them. He got us out of Sodom and Gomorrah. He's going to protect you. So don't panic. Keep teaching. Keep training up your children. Keep leading your household. Keep talking to your woman. Just be the example. Resist the evil. Don't let the heathen dictate to you who you're going to be, what you're going to believe. Turn to Yah for your instruction. Walk with your head up. Don't be ashamed of your faith. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Let the world know who you are, regardless of what the hell they say. Don't give a damn about what they say. That's the problem with us now. We worry about what they say we are instead of embracing who Yah says we are. We are the people of Elohim. We are the people of the book. That's all you need to tell them. Other than that, we don't debate them. Let Yah show them if they put their hands on you or try to do something against you. Then he said, no weapon formed against you would prosper. Let Yah do your talking while you do your walking. And then let's see if this word is true. He said, if my people come to me, he said, I will heal their land, I will hear their prayers, and I will restore them back to the kings and queens I had always intended them to be. Praise Yah. That said, DFG, talk to you guys soon. Bye now.